overcast and cloudy here. Pardon the spoonerism. Here in the capital city, we've got a high of 53. Of course, there's going to be some sunshine or some rain, as you well know, and some thunder showers tomorrow. Right now it's 39. Well, we are glad to have our next guest in with us. She recently took a trip to the Orient, and of course, we're talking about the top ed chief of the state of Wyoming, Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing well. Finally rested after about 28 hours of straight travel.
Yep, and it's taxing, isn't it? I remember when I was in Germany, it was a long trip from Germany to California, so I just kind of would try to get a seat where there were two open seats, and I'd lay down and go to sleep.
Yeah, it didn't work for me so much, but, and then I came back and actually gave the commencement speech at UW College of Education on Saturday morning. So just kind of had to run on adrenaline for about 24 hours after I got home, and then really crashed after.
Well, that's good, as long
speech.
as you're drinking coffee and not that monster drink, because that stuff is not good for you, as you well know.
Just coffee here.
Just coffee. All right, so something else that I wanted to talk to you about. I'm going to fire the post office because I never got the postcard from China.
You should fire the post office.
Yeah, because I never got my postcard, and I know you sent it because that was one of your priorities when you got to China.
You don't even want to know how much I stressed over this. I actually did. We were so incredibly busy over there.
Wow.
Putting in truly very, very long days, 14, 15 hours a day, and being part of a U.S. delegation, I really didn't have time to go do anything on my own, which was really, it was interesting. They assigned us sort of a translator / companion, but instead of being sort of an official translator, they were actually teachers from across China who applied to work or staff this U.S. delegation. So my companion, quote unquote, was a teacher in North China, and she taught middle school English, actually.
Wow.
And we did spend a couple of hours at an art museum in Shanghai, and she did watercolors in her spare time, and so really understood sort of the nuances of some of the artwork and some of the nuances of the calligraphy, for example. And there was one picture in particular, I should share it with you, I should text it to you, and it had this gorgeous landscape and then this thorny bush in the middle. And I guess the symbolism was that the thorny bush was politicians who made bureaucratic decisions that held up progress.
And who can
for whatever that means.
And who can really screw up a beautiful landscape.
I guess
I'm with them on that.
I guess so.
So since we're on that, tell us who funded this trip. I know some people are saying taxpayers, but that wasn't the case at all.
That wasn't. I was part of a U.S. China delegation. This was the third of probably who knows how many dialogues between U.S. and Chinese top education officials, but it was not funded by the government. It was funded by a group called CCSSO, which is the Chief Council of State School Officers, and they are a nonprofit organization that partners with state superintendents across the nation. And just like any nonprofit organization, they typically will take a stance that's reflective of most of the nation, or where maybe that governing board wants to see education go, and all 50 states plus a couple of territories are members of the CCSSO, and you take what works in your state as support and you leave the rest. Nonetheless, that is who funded the group, and so it was not taxpayer money.
All right, we are in with Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow. 9:17 is the time, and we will talk with her more about this China trip, exactly what they do that works, what doesn't work, maybe as far as what we would do here in the Cowboy State, and we'll grab some of your phone calls a little bit later on. My name is Gary Freeman. This is KGAB Mornings on a Monday. Good morning.
The Toyota Time sales event is going on right now. For a limited time, get special deals on all your favorite Toyota models. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan for 2 years or 25,000 miles. Right now, Get 0% APR financing for 60 months with $1,667 per 1,000 borrowed, plus $500 bonus cash on Camry, the best-selling car in America. The Toyota Time sales event ends June 1st, so hurry in. These deals won't be around for long. Visit Toyota.com for more details. Toyota, let's go places.
Covers normal factory scheduled service for 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever occurs first. See participating dealer for coverage details. APR and approved credit from Toyota Financial Services. Security deposit waived. Cashback from Toyota Motor Sales USA Inc. does not include college, grad, or military rebate. Offers may vary by region. See participating dealer for details. Offers end 6/1/15.
Visit Bradley Barn Toyota, your hometown Toyota dealer. Or for more information, please log on to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
News, weather, sports, and talk. Cheyenne's #1 News Talk Radio, AM 650, KGAB, and KGAB.com.
All right, good morning, 9:18 the time, and we are still in studio here on KGAB Mornings. Also, the video cam is on, so if you want to go out to our YouTube channel and see the very lovely Jillian Balow, you may do so, Superintendent of Public Instructions and Instruction, and glad to have her back. And we've been talking a little bit about the China trip. There's been some hubbub around that the dollars. It was not. I believe also it was invite only. Is that correct?
It is. There were 8 of us that were invited, 8 chiefs and a couple of researchers who presented papers on assessments and teacher professional development.
So what exactly, I've heard everything from Communist Core to Chi-Com Core and all this other stuff going on. What is their educational system, and do they incorporate Common Core ideologies?
So we spent a full day visiting schools and spent quite a lot of time. We really focused more on sort of the the professional development of teachers and their assessment system, as well as sort of their structure of their schools. And it's very different. I think coming away, you think about your own practice and your own system much more carefully than maybe you had if you wouldn't have seen a system that was so different from your own. And I think that's what I'm taking away from that. So the good news is that kids are kids are kids, no matter where you are in the world. And good teaching is good teaching is good teaching. The reality is that kids in Chinese schools really focus on math, science, reading, and writing. There's no obviously there's no U.S. history. Oh, and English as a language, but there's no history. There's no social studies. That's taken off the table.
Civics?
No.
Of course not. They have a dictator.
Exactly.
So why do we need a civics class?
Exactly. And they don't, even if there was that, it's, it would be perhaps more indoctrination than it would be instruction, because you don't ask questions, right, about that kind of thing, like we have the liberty to do, and really the responsibility as American citizens to do. And so that's taken off the table, and certainly the focus is much more academic, and it's very, very focused on an end of compulsory education assessment, and that's in 8th grade. So all of their work is teaching to a test up to 8th grade. And then that determines really what happens. Do they go to an academic high school, a high school that is more geared toward career and technical education, a career and technical education training course? And that's where, for me anyway, it started becoming pretty complicated. But from kindergarten to 8th grade, it is all focused on that 8th grade test, that compulsory test.
All right, we're talking with Jillian Balow, Superintendent of Public Instruction. So, when you and I were going through school, it was you were taught in a class and you would be ready to take the test. You weren't necessarily being taught for a test. Mm-hmm. So tell us the difference between the two. A lot of people have a problem with this, and a lot of teachers have a problem with this, where they feel like all I'm doing is teaching for this stupid test at the end. But kind of differentiate between the two about how we were raised, because we knew in history we were going to have an end of the semester or the end of the quarter test.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between that and then being taught for a test?
Well, so that's a great question, and a little bit of a challenging question. And here's how I'll explain that. And it's from when you and I went to school, and our kids and how our kids in the U.S. go to school as well. And we have what are called formative assessments and summative assessments along the way. So while, I think we can all agree our kids are over tested in some ways, especially with standardized tests or what we call evaluative or summative tests, and that we need to be much more careful and thoughtful about that. But that aside, we have those formative or summative or end of quarter or end of year tests. We also have those standardized assessments in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And, in China, from kindergarten on, they're studying for an exam in 8th grade. And so, I think in the US, we really focus on an assessment system. We don't have it right. But again, you go to a system that's very much different from your own. And what you take away is, wow, I think we're on the right track. We're over assessing. In Wyoming right now, for example, we have an assessment task force that's convened across the state to not take a look at an assessment, but to take a look at our assessment system. How do we have a lean assessment system that gives us information about the success of our students so that we can make adjustments so that they're successful? And then how do we evaluate the health of our education system through an assessment?
See, and a lot of parents feel like, well, you're just, some of this testing that you're doing, you're just using my kid to assess the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, the proper balance is basically, and there are teachers, and you were one, and I don't know what your convictions were, but I've had teachers in the past that felt like if you didn't do good on a test, they were responsible for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, yes and no. It also depends on how a kid comprehends. It's very complicated. So, a lot of parents are frustrated with this constant testing going on. So I guess going over to China, did people come back saying, well, we're on the right track? And what is the right track?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I think that we in the U.S. Certainly focus more on individual students. Do we have that right? No, but I think in Wyoming we have a better shot at getting it right than almost anywhere else. And I think that we really look at education as a system and not as a test, and that's a big difference. So a very, very different education system than our own. But for me and for my colleagues who went over there, which was another amazing part of the trip. There were 8 state superintendents over there, and I called it, I don't know what anyone else calls it, but I'm calling it taxi time, when we had time traveling from place to place, and the traffic in Shanghai was horrendous. And so rather than look at our taxi drivers who were running red lights because they could, and honking and making 4 lanes out of 2, we talked, and all we talked about was education. I couldn't tell you how many kids any of those people had. They couldn't tell you how many kids I had. I mean, we talked education because it was right there in our face. And so having that time with colleagues to talk about what's happening in other states, and there were a couple of other sort of frontier status states. Kansas was there, Alaska was there, Montana, and West Virginia.
That's fine.
I'm blanking a little bit, but it was, we had that opportunity too. And I think that we all walked away from there feeling like, wow, we have this assessment system that's not perfect, but we are focusing on individual students, and we're trying to make sure that our individual students are successful, and no child left behind taken aside. I think that we're all leaning toward, we want to make sure that our individual students are successful in what our individual students can be successful in.
Now, the other superintendents that you went through or went with, are they kind of frowning on Common Core? Was it 50-50? Were some totally sold on it, some not been on it? Because, that's been a lot of the discussion here in the Cowboy State.
Yeah, I know it has, and I watched it a little bit from afar, very afar. And this wasn't, we really didn't talk about standards a whole lot on this trip with the Chinese delegation, a little bit, but I think, what I know is that 2 of the states there do not have Common Core. That's Kansas and Alaska. There may have been more, but those are 2 that I know of. Kansas, of course, repealed the is it? No, excuse me, Oklahoma. Oklahoma
That's
repealed.
right.
Yes.
Matter of
geez.
fact, they got rid of their superintendent of public instruction, I believe, or the governor, one of the two. I believe it was superintendent of public instruction, because they were totally for Common Core, and the legislature said, nope, see you later.
Yeah, so so I went over with the new state superintendent, and they do. Her name was Joy Hoffmeister, and they do not have Common Core, nor does Alaska. So Oklahoma repealed the Common Core. Alaska never adopted the Common Core. But in terms of having some deep discussions about Common Core per se, I can't really say that we had those, but we did talk a lot about high standards and how high standards ought to feed into that system, that assessment system. And I mean, yeah, you and I have talked about this before. We want high standards for our kids. I haven't met anyone who doesn't want high standards for their own kids or for all kids.
Sure.
And so to focus on that, I think would be more important. But again, the focus of this trip was really on professional development, assessment, being able to look at a different school system, and in career and technical education, those transitions and so forth.
All right, very good. We are talking with Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow. The first half hour pretty well in the can. When we bring the broadcast back to you in the second half hour, we'll find out what's going on here in the Cowboy State. Also may field some of your phone calls at 632-6500, 632-3323 to get the full skinny. Also want to remind you, too, that the Cheyenne Frontier Days is just right around the corner, and we want you to be our CFD VIP, and here's your chance to see it all. Party Zone tickets, Frontier Nights concert, including Blake Shelton, Miranda Lambert, Big and Rich, Alabama, Aerosmith, Toby Keith, and Keith Urbain, plus 2 nights of championship bull riding, all the PRC rodeos, and we'll throw in a key that could start the Arctic Cat Wildcat Trail XT during the rodeo on July 25th. Check it out at KGAB.com. My name is Gary Freeman. More from Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow, on KGAB Mornings straight away. Good morning.
AM 650 KGAB. Up to the minute news.
From the KGAB News Center, I'm Doug Randall. The Federal Trade Commission has sued a Cheyenne company for falsely claiming its products can prevent or reverse gray hair. The FTC says Corga Nutraceuticals Corporation and its executive vice president, Garfield Kaur, market a line of so-called dietary supplement products called Gray Defense that contain vitamins, minerals, and an enzyme called catalase. Kaur did not return a call seeking comment. Corga Nutraceuticals sells a bottle of 30 Gray Defense capsules for $69.99, but the FTC says the company backs up their claims with scientific evidence. Elizabeth Nash, an attorney with the FTC in Washington, says the commission doesn't want consumers to be deceived.
But it's not fair when companies might be misrepresenting what their products can do, especially when you're in the health arena, for instance, and it might be difficult for the average consumer to verify that a claim is true.
Casper City Manager John Patterson says his decision to resign effective November 1st after a 36-year career, including nearly 4 years in Casper, was abrupt.
The decision to retire has been sudden. It's just come this week, and something that, frankly, we haven't thought a lot about retiring.
Patterson declined to comment on whether the decision was related 2 weeks ago when his wife claimed she was assaulted. No charges were filed in that case. More news on demand at KGAB.com.
John Gabrielson with your Monday radio update from WyoPreps.com. State qualifiers for track and field have been decided after regional meets were held this weekend. In 4A, Gillette would sweep the East titles. Natrona did the same in the West. The Natrona boys won by almost 141 points over second-place Kelly Walsh. Douglas swept the boys and girls 3A East. Code boys and Star Valley's girls were champions out West. In 2A, boys champions were Burns and Kimmer. Bighorn won the East girls. Lyman and Big Piney tied for the West ladies championship. 1A saw Lingle's boys and the Upton girls win the East. Cokeville won the 1A West boys with Burlington the champions of the 1A West girls side. You can see complete team and individual results on the website along with the heat and lane assignments for state track at WyoPreps.com. Back with more in a moment.
Seatbelt on. Seatbelt on. Hey, I can't buckle it for you. You know law enforcement is out there, and you know that seatbelts save lives. So be a good driver and buckle up. There you go.
All across the country, law enforcement is cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night. Paid for by the Wyoming Seatbelt Coalition.
Being able to see your favorite dentist is important. And when you buy dental insurance from Delta Dental, you can be reassured that most likely your dentist is one of the 87% of Wyoming dentists participating in our network. Visit our website at www.deltadentalwy.org. That's www.deltadentalwy.org for more information on Delta Dental. And remember to show off your smile, Wyoming.
Top seeds for regional soccer are set. The two top seeds from each conference in 4A will get first-round byes this weekend. They'll also get automatic bids to state next weekend in Rock Springs. Cheyenne East will host the 4A East Regional. Rock Springs will host the West. 3A has state qualifying in 2 locations. Boys teams will go to Lander, while girls teams play in Worland for a trip to state in Jackson. Play-in game schedules and pairings are on the website. One note in closing is a big congrats to Ricky Four. The Wyoming freshman from Rock Springs won the 800 meters at the Mountain West Track and Field Championships in San Diego. He is the first freshman to win a Mountain West track title since 2008 for the Cowboys. The Wyoming men would finish 5th as a team. 4 will go on to the NCAA Regionals later this month in Austin, Texas. This has been your WyoPreps Daily Radio Update. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and for more things high school sports in the state, it's at WyoPreps.com.
The cool, cloudy May weather we've had for most of the month continues, and there's more wet coming as well. Temperatures are going to start the week cooler than normal and stay that way for most of the week. And hate to say that, but the possibility of us seeing snowflakes again, pretty good, as we're going to be looking at rain developing late tonight and during the day Tuesday. And as we get into tomorrow night, there could be a time where the rain will mix with and change the wet snow for a little while here in Cheyenne, with cool, wet weather lasting through the week and into the weekend.
Hey, Wild Lotto fans, there's a new game in town. They call it Cowboy Draw. With growing jackpots starting at $250,000, better odds, and 2 chances to win per ticket, Cowboy Draw is aiming to deliver more action and more winners to the Cowboy State. Get into a draw at a retailer near you today with the exciting Wild West action of Cowboy Draw, Wyoming's very own lottery game. Lottery is a form of entertainment. Play responsibly. Must be 18 or older to play.
Why did you escape to the historic Elk Mountain Hotel?
After the daily grind of the city, I want to get away. I want to be free of everyday reality. I want wonderful scenery and fabulous hospitality. I want to get back into life over dinner and a glass of wine.
Get away to the hospitality of the Elk Mountain Hotel, where time slows down. Visit elkmountainhotel.com and still your beating heart in the serenity of our Victorian country inn.
Our cool and wet May weather continues. Mostly cloudy today, highs only reaching low to mid 50s. Rain becoming likely late with lows mid to upper 30s. Periods of rain likely Tuesday. Now at times Tuesday, rain could mix with snow. Could see rain turn to snow for a while Tuesday night. The mid 30s, Wednesday only near 50 with a few lingering showers. I'm meteorologist Don Day with more weather on demand at KGAB.com.
Don't just stand there. Come get your truck on at Terrell Doyle Chevrolet. Look here, with hundreds of new Chevrolet cars and SUVs to choose from, Terrell Doyle has a Chevy for every budget, and you'll love our brand of dealer. We're overstocked and underpriced and looking to sell every new Chevy Silverado in stock before the end of May. We're stacking them deep and selling them cheap. Hurry in and take $10,000 off new Chevy Silverados. No reasonable offer will be turned away. Guaranteed. That's $10,000 off SRP on any new Chevy Silverados. When it comes to getting your truck on, nobody beats Terrell Doyle Chevrolet. But check it out. We do more than just trucks. Yes, sir. Get a big 15% off MSRP. Cash back on select new 2015 Chevy models, including Cruze, Equinox, Traverse, Impala, Blue, and more. That's right. 15% off MSRP. Cash back. You'll love our brand of dealing at Terrell Doyle Chevrolet, just north of high prices. Online at TerrellDoyleChevrolet.com. Chevrolet, find new roads.
All rebates apply to dealer. That college degree finished itself. Registration is open at Laramie County Community College. Become what you want to be. It starts here. Visit lccc.wy.edu. Laramie County Community College in Cheyenne. It starts here.
Are you feeling run down? Do you have aches, pains, or illnesses that just keep hanging around? Chronic medical conditions require an internal medicine healthcare provider. A team of experts can help you to manage a number of conditions, including asthma, heart disease, respiratory illness, back pain, and many more. Call today to see what Cheyenne Regional Internal Medicine can do for you. 307-996-1560. 307-996-1560.
Get your news on demand when it's convenient for you at KGAB.com.
All right, 9:40 is the time. Hope you're getting through a Monday. I'm kind of sluggish here a little bit. I got a great night's sleep last night. I think it's the coffee wasn't all that great. It's time to get a fresh bag of something else other than what we're brewing here in the studio. My name is Gary Freeman. This is KGAB Mornings. So glad to have you with us. The video cam is on. If you want to head on out to YouTube and look up the KGAB AM 650 channel, we'd love to have you with us. We have in studio with us this morning Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow. That's what happens when you just look at a text somebody sent you of Cynthia Lummis. You just about say that. But anyways, so we've been talking a lot about your China trip and the things that are going on there. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on the home front here a bit. There's a lot of exciting things going on, and fill us in. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we're actually, there are so many things on the front burner right now. This week we undertake the work of recalibration, and that's actually a legislative function. Every 5 years, the legislature looks at the school funding model and tweaks it a bit, moves the formula around to match the needs of Wyoming schools as best as possible. And then really the function of the Department of Education is to make sure that that money is distributed. So the legislature makes sure that it's adequately funded. The department makes sure that it's distributed. Of course, the department is sort of the trenches, the in the trenches entity, and so we do a lot of informing with the legislature, or informing and kind of prep work with the legislature. And so this week we begin in full force, that recalibration work. But really, for the department, that began right after the session was over, because we were charged with setting up a distance education task force. And I think that this is really exciting. My sort of mantra is always increasing access to quality education opportunities through the school choice that we have available to us in Wyoming, and always being open to additional forms of school choice, no matter what that is. And we can talk about that later at a different time. But I think distance education is one of those opportunities that we have to increase access to quality education. So we set up an assessment task force, and during the legislative session, I actually asked for parents to be put on that assessment on that distance education task force as well. Again, because parents need to weigh in on school choice. Yes, sir.
And how are they?
I like how you raise your hand.
Well, I'm in the midst of a teacher here, and I don't want to get my name on the board. How are those parents picked or selected? We had a number of parents who were involved in the legislative process, and so we had a pretty good queue of interested parents from there, and we really looked there. We also had some that reached directly out to us and said, "Look, I'd be very interested in serving on that." And then we have a number of parents that have their kids in distance education opportunities, whether that's in a virtual school 100% or a hybrid type of school. And so anyway, this assessment task force is really looking at the changing landscape of sort of what I call this hybrid education. And I want to just talk for a minute about that. I had dinner at the University of Wyoming with 8 honors students. All of them were on full ride academic scholarships, either the trustees scholarship or the alumni scholarship. And I asked them, how many of you in high school took an online course? Every single one of them had taken an online course, either for college credit or to enhance something that we're learning, or to gain additional knowledge to assist them in a class that they were already taking. And then I asked, how many of you are taking one now? And these freshmen in college, 2 of them working online courses for college credit in college. And I said, how many of you, or then the next question was, how many of you plan to? And 100% of them plan to take an online course. Well, when you and I were in college, that wasn't the case. You were in college as a 30-something, that probably wasn't the case either. The bottom line is that increasing access to quality education now includes that distance learning, now includes that opportunity for parents to say, you know what, there's a great teacher in location X, or there's a great course in location Y, and I want my son or daughter to be a part of that, and this is how we can bring that to them. And does give more of a custom fit to a student based on how they learn or what they're interested in, rather than here's the course, here you go, this is the way you're going to learn it, this way I'm going to teach it, we're going to test you, have at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it creates a degree of equity for those rural schools that may not have access to some of the courses that more of our populated schools have, and we can deliver that. And it's not the old school delivery where you're putting in a tape and watching it. It's very interactive, it's very live, it's sometimes one-on-one, sometimes a small group with an instructor. And so really this is this distance education task force is not only talking about, what does this landscape look like in Wyoming, and how is it a value add to education overall, but further, how is it funded?
You're dating yourself when you talk about putting tapes in a machine. We're way past VHS tapes.
Just a couple years.
All right.
Geez, I don't even remember. Those were after I was born.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Now your nose is growing. You were around when the 8-tracks were out, sister. Don't even try
That's right. I think I own the Oak Ridge Boys 8-track.
Well, my mom had Gladys Knight in the Pip, so we're on the same line. All right, 9:46 your time. We'll talk more with Jillian Balow, Superintendent of Public Instruction. If you do have a question for her, you can give us a call at 632-6500, 632-3323. More to come straight ahead.
What can being listed with YP do for your business? You're about to find out for free. YP will give your business a free listing on 2 extremely powerful customer delivering tools, the YP website and the YP app. Growing your business requires maximum visibility, and every month, over 70 million potential new customers use the YP tools to search for businesses. 70 million! But if you're not there, they can't find you. Get the maximum visibility that comes from a free listing with America's largest marketing agency for small business, YP. Look, you're the expert in your business, and YP is the expert in driving new customers to your business. Imagine what that free listing on YP could do for your bottom line. Claim your free business listing today. Potential customers are searching for businesses like yours each and every day. Don't let your competitors get them because you're not listed. Go to myfreeyp.com. That's myfreeyp.com. myfreeyp.com.
KGAB Mornings with Gary Freeman on AM 650 KGAB.
All right, 9:47 is the time. This is Gary Freeman, and there's still pretty cloudy skies today. Probably will be getting a little bit of rain as the day moves on, so be prepared for that. Drive safe on your drive home. And we are in studio with Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow. If you have a question for her, give us a call at 632-6500, 632-3323. And I also noticed, Jillian, that you brought a friend along with you today. Who is she and what in the world's she doing here?
I did. I brought along Kari Akins, and of course, no one in Wyoming knows her name or her voice because she only served as the voice of the Cowboy State News Network for a while. But anyway, she's
I was Town Square Laramie before that.
Okay.
Oh, you were Town Square Laramie.
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Laramie Live.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Oh, that rocks. Laramie Live is excellent.
So Kari joined the Department of Education as our communications director a couple of months ago, and we're pretty honored to have her. You know, we've had a big push since before coming into office about communication, and really, I remember as a teacher, it was incumbent on me to find that information from the state that I needed, and I really wanted to change that. Turn it upside down and make sure that we were getting the information to the people and not the people having to come to us for information. And so that's really sort of been our philosophy going into it. Kari has carried that charge forward. You know, we are in full force on social media and on you know, on getting out timely press releases, on having community meetings and focus groups and so forth. Last night I went to Anderson Elementary, and I tweet on Sunday nights with educators from across the state.
Okay.
And last night it was facilitated by a teacher from Anderson Elementary. And it was the craziest thing. We sat in the library at 8:00 at night and tweeted. So it was
that's called a tweet up. By the way,
it is called a tweet up.
So is this an esoterical group, or can I go out there to Jillian Balow or whatever and see what you're tweeting?
Yeah, you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to get
many points. I have
nothing
nothing to do on Sunday night because Jack Benny's off the air now, so I can go and check.
Lawrence Welk is on Saturday.
And Jillian Balow on Sunday night.
That's right.
Well,
and it's almost as exciting as Lawrence Welk.
It is.
It's called hashtag YOEdChat, and it's from 8 to 9 on Sunday nights. And oh my gosh, they're going to love me that I've just said that on air. I mean, we want, you know, the more the merrier.
We'll send you the bill for that free advertising. So again, it's hashtag
YOEdChat.
Okay.
Yeah.
YOEdChat.
And if you follow Wyoming Department of Education or Jillian, she has her own separate Twitter account, you'll find that hashtag used quite frequently.
Yeah. So, and another thing that we're doing is community meetings. And we, of course, are beginning the review and adoption process for science standards. And we have a set of 6 community meetings set up around the state before the process even begins. And the goal is really to get public input, meaningful public input before we even begin the process. Before, you know, it's largely been through the latter stages of the process. And this is, what do you want the review committee to know before we even undertake the work of reviewing standards? And we're really, you know, of course, focused on the science standards right now because that's what's in front of us. But this is a process to use for all of the standards review.
And it helps people to get engaged. So that's good because people want to be engaged. engaged.
meaningfully engaged.
That's right.
And so we're looking forward to those, and that information is of course on our website, on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, everywhere else. And there are 6 meetings across the state in the next 5 meetings across the state in the next few weeks. And and in Cheyenne it's June 8th at Story Gym Boardroom at 6 p.m.
All right, very good. Let's take a phone call. Good morning. You're on with Superintendent Jillian Balow.
Yeah, yes. I'm sorry to call back, but another question came to mind. I know this is probably a local issue, but where you're in the statewide position, have you seen where graduating high school seniors have to do remedial courses or whatever before they go on to higher education or whatever? And if you have, what sort of statistics are we looking at? Numbers and so on. I'll go ahead and hang up and listen then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's local, but it's also state and nationwide. And certainly a solution isn't restricted to a local solution. So here's the skinny, and it's pretty frightening, and it's something that keeps me up at night. We have almost 50% of our kids that need to take remedial courses upon entering college. Let me step back and say 50% of our kids, but what I really should be saying is 50% of our students in community colleges
that are coming from Wyoming.
That are coming from Wyoming.
I think that's important, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have people from Hawaii that come over, and just to piggyback on him and not to confuse you, but I was wondering if the kids coming out from other states have to have that remedial training, or are they on task?
Yeah.
So if you could kind of address all that at once. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I think that's great. So that's a frightening statistic, one that we certainly need to pay close attention to and figure out how to solve. And, I think we have a couple of other sort of unintended consequences as a result of that. Number one, we have a lot of kids that go, I say kids, let me step back again, a lot of students who enter community colleges and the University of Wyoming from Wyoming, and they're what we call non-traditional students, which means they're not entering right out of high school. They've had a gap. Maybe they served in the military. Maybe they took up a career for several years. Maybe this is a second career for them. So we need to address that and figure out exactly what the landscape of college freshmen is. I think we've got a fairly decent handle on that, but we need to do some more work on that. The second thing is that what we're learning or where we're leaving off in high school may show that a student is successful in whatever the curriculum was in high school, but where they're picking up in college, there may be a gap. And so then the question becomes, okay, so do we need to teach more or teach differently or teach something different? Or is the question, if they're successful in high school, does that mean that even though they're learning new content, they'll probably be successful in college? So some states that have looked at this have said, look, if you have X score on your ACT, or maybe in Wyoming that would say if you have X level of Hathaway scholarship, you do not need to take remedial courses because we're fairly confident that you will be successful in freshman English or freshman math or so forth. And so I think that that's one fix. We can, what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. And this is an elephant. I mean, 50% of our students that are in need of remediation is an elephant. And so we really need to make sure that we're looking at it, not just one size fits all solution, but a number of solutions that say, you know what, how do we know that kids are going to be successful? Is the compass test the best way? Which is the compass test is the test that they take that says you will be in remedial or you get to take freshman.
So they know when they're
so they
coming
know.
into
And
this.
is that the best measure? And if it's not,
Well,
then what is?
I think I'd be pretty discouraged. I'm all excited about hitting college on the ground, and I got to go through some remedial training before
no
I can even
credit.
get running. Yeah,
For no
and
credit.
it's costing me money.
And it's costing you money, and that's exactly what the statistics say, that the kids that take the remedial courses are not, that don't have as good of a success rate in college as the kids that are able to take those 4-credit courses. So we really need to do some work on that.
All right, we'll take this last break. Stay on the phone. I will get to your phone call straight after the break. This is Gary Freeman with Superintendent Jillian Balow and Kari Eakins here on KGAB Mornings on Cheyenne's #1 news talk radio station, AM 650 KGAB and KGAB.com.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college, which ends up making the future better for all of us. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Are you a single mother interested in earning more money? The Cheyenne Climb Wyoming program is recruiting for their next job training. Training is free for participants. Contact Climb Wyoming at 307-778-0094 by May 18th for details.
This is Arlen Walter at Cheyenne Hearing Clinic. Digital technology in hearing aids has advanced significantly in the last 24 months. For instance, if a patient is wearing hearing aids dispensed at my clinic and they call me from any place in the world, I can adjust their aids over the phone. In the believe it or not category, some new aids have more computer memory than all of the computers aboard the Apollo mission that went to the moon. And some aids can be put in a glass of water for 5 minutes and when taken out will function fine.
Call 635-0435 or online at CheyenneHearingClinic.com.
At Brakes Plus, we take care of your car and you. Your safety and time are always our priority. For your convenience, you can call, stop by, or make an appointment online. Whether it's routine maintenance or unexpected repairs, we give free estimates before any work is done. Plus, we offer a free shuttle to work or home. Right now, buy 3 shocks or struts, get the 4th free. Service you can trust at a price you can afford. Brakes, maintenance, repairs, we do it all.
America comes to Brakes Plus. All right, 9:58 is the time. Right back to the phones. Good morning. You are on with Superintendent of Public Instruction, Jillian Balow.
Thank you for taking my call. This may also be a local issue, but I do have a question because it seems to be an ongoing issue year after year. And I noticed about 2 weeks before the students are let out of school, teachers start showing movies, and I see kids text and put things on Facebook. I'm so bored. I'm in class. I'm watching the movie.
Yes, please hurry, ma'am. We're running out of time. I'm sorry to be rude.
The same thing. Do you have an answer for this?
You know, yeah, thanks. That's a great question also. And I'm going to say as a mom, my child in the last couple of weeks is doing a lot of culminating events, going to the Depot Museum, going to do the trolley ride and so forth. And I guess in one sense, it's like, gosh, it's the last couple of weeks and you're going on field trips. Where's the instruction? But he's really been working up to that because he's doing Cheyenne history throughout the year. And so hopefully the movies that they're watching or the trips that they're taking are directly related to instruction, and if not, definitely talk to the teacher or the principal.
Like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, it teaches you about groundhogs. Hey, thanks a lot, Jillian, for being on. We appreciate you and your phone calls. We'll see you again next month. Also glad to have Kari Eakins in, and you are always welcome to come on the program.
Well, thank you. It is Aikens, though.
Aikens. Okay, see, she already corrected me. That is a woman for you. That's all right. Here we are. We'll have a good week, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. And we got Rush Limbaugh. I'll turn it over. Have a great day.
KGAB Orchard Valley, Cheyenne. A Wild Preps radio station. AM 650 KGAB and KGAB.com.